This is a short instructional video on early Mesopotamia. In prehistoric times, the human animal had been a food collector. This was the basic and traditional form of the economy. For the majority of humans' existence, they continued to exist on the same ecological stage as the other animals. The agricultural revolution would change humans' existence when they became food producers. People began to capture and tame the wild animals, raising their offspring in captivity, and to harvest the wild grains which they would later plant. Since the change from food gathering to food production ensured the food supply, a population increase naturally followed. Cattle were useful as draft animals and for their hides, and sheep and goats for their wool. This made possible the industry of textiles. Agriculture was dependent upon irrigation, and irrigation required the mobilization of manpower for the construction and constant repair of canals and irrigation ditches. In Mesopotamia, agricultural production and associated activities were managed by a planned economy that overlooked no detail. The mobilization and direction of the labor force was the function of a powerful centralized government. In such a state, the king was regarded either as a god on earth or as the earthly representative of the gods. The result was a government with unlimited and unquestioned authority. In return for obedience and homage, the servants would be protected and their storehouses filled with food. The earliest known human occupation was in Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and the Euphrates River, an area known as the Fertile Crescent, where the Sumerians resided in large towns in the southern region. Politically, the region was divided among a number of these little city-states. This is where a city government would rule the city as well as the land around it. These city-states often fought each other. They built walls around their cities for protection. Farmland was outside the walls, but people would retreat to the city when invaders came. This type of political organization lasted over 1,000 years. Sargon would change this organization. In the northern region, hailing from Akkad, Sargon conquered all the Sumerian city-states, building history's first recorded empire. He established a dynasty that reigned over his empire until about 2200 BC. His legend as true king persisted over thousands of years and possibly led to several exaggerations. In the end, Akkadian power fell before the attacks of barbarians from the north after it had been weakened from within by a resurgence of independence among the cities of Sumer. A Sumerian renaissance would emerge in the ashes of the Akkadian Empire under the leadership of the third dynasty of Ur. Over a period of 60 years of raids and conquest, the kings of Ur had a loose control over Sumer, Akkad, Assyria, and Elam. Lacking wood and stone, the Sumerians were forced to build mostly with sun-dried bricks. The tallest structure erected by the Sumerians was the ziggurat, consisting of a series of platforms, decreasing in size as they were placed one on top of another and crowned by a small chapel at the highest level, and was home to most religious ceremonies. Clay was used extensively by the Sumerians not only for building, but also as a material to receive writing. From the Ur dynasty, we have a wealth of recorded history recovered from the clay tablet archives archaeologists have discovered. The records were written in the cuneiform script. The royal inscriptions of Sumer and Akkad tell of military campaigns, the building of temples, prayers, proverbs, hymns, incantations, math texts, law codes, even judicial decisions. From these law codes and texts, it appears there were two basic simple classes, free men and slaves. The free men were organized under the king. There was the nobility who were most often related to the king, then the priests who maintained the religion, then the scribes who doubled as officials for the king, followed by the craftsmen and the peasants, the mass majority of the free men. The Sumerians were polytheistic. We know the names of several hundred deities worshipped during the third period. Major Sumerian gods tended to be connected with the heavenly bodies, something that may have given rise to the study of both astronomy and astrology, as the priests observed carefully the behavior of the sun, moon, and visible planets. For the Sumerians, the sun god was the source of law, and the moon god was wisdom and astronomy. About 2000 BC,